Welcome to Today of All Days, episode 21.
We'll give you stitches. Today is Tuesday, June 13th, 2017. And today a war has been waged. The Great War of the 1850s, because today is
National Sewing Machine Day.
But it's not pretty.
In 1790, the English inventor Thomas Saint invented the first sewing machine.
In 1832, Walter Hunt invents the first American lock-stitch sewing machine, which used an upper and lower thread, as opposed to the previous types which only used one. But Hunt didn't patent his machine until 1854. Little did he know that, unfortunately for him, by then the industry was gripped by the sewing machine war of the 1850s.
A bloody one at that. Many fingers were pricked.
And many feet had cramps from using those foot presses.
Now, the first machine to combine all of the best elements of all the previous sewing machines was patented by John Fisher in 1844. However, due to improper paperwork filing, Fisher entered into the largest dispute with now famous Isaac Merritt Singer. Now, Singer didn't create his machines until 1851, but Singer won the dispute and was recognized as the patent holder.
How do you pull something like that off?
I don't know, I guess he sang his way through.
In 1854, Singer was in another dispute with Elias Howe, who claimed that Singer was infringing upon his patent. This time, Howe won the case and was given rights to collect the royalties from Singer for any machines that they sold using Howe's designs.
At this point, so many companies were popping up marketing their own sewing machines that, in spite of their differences, Singer, Howe, the Wheeler and Wilson Company, and Grover and Baker all pulled their patents together in 1856. This forced all other companies to license out the designs from these four sewing machine giants. This earned them royalties for years, up until 1877.
By that time, all of the patents had started expiring, and the last one finally expired in 1877. They had a good run, though.
They must have played a lot of Monopoly. They had hotels on the boardwalk, on Park Place, North Carolina.
They owned all of the railroads, all the utilities.
But the smart people owned the jail.
In 1855, Singer, again using pre-existing designs with added enhancements,
of course,
began selling the vibrating shuttle machines that outsold and outperformed the rest, selling millions.
This machine had a motor strapped to the side, but as they gained popularity after World War I, the motors were moved inside the casing.
Duct taped some motors to them like, they're electric.
It's electric. At this point, with Singer having created the first electric sewing machine, it kind of sealed their fate as the sewing machine giant that we will see probably for the rest of our lives. I haven't really seen too much innovation since the electric sewing machine, other than you have like different stitch patterns, crazy different buttons. Nobody has really innovated on how the stitches are made and how, like how you have the bobbin on the bottom and the needle. I'm just talking at that point. I don't really know what I'm talking about.
And I know we picked on Singer a little bit, but everybody was kind of pulling from each other, just making tiny little advancements all during that time, up until those four got together and kind of put a seal on how much innovation there could have been. But they turned a profit, so who's to blame them?
Yeah. It's like if I was to invent a bike based exactly on another bicycle's design, except I added an extra spoke on the tire.
And that brings us to
Today in History. In 1983, NASA's Pioneer 10 becomes the first man-made object to leave our solar system.
In recent years, the Voyager has actually been given the title of the first spacecraft to leave our solar system, but the Pioneer did so way back in the 80s, and it was first launched in 1972. It was also the first spacecraft to reach escape velocity in order to even leave the solar system in the first place.
Even though the mission ended in 1997, NASA kept contact with the shuttle until 2003, when its radio transmitter finally lost power. At this point, Pioneer 10 was 12 billion kilometers from Earth. That's approximately 7,456,454,306 miles.
Wow, I cannot even fathom how big that distance is.
Yeah, because I don't even think that that's 1 light year. And our galaxy is multiple light years wide. They must have taken the short route. It's like, just makes you feel a little bit small, doesn't it?
It does. And I believe in missions like that, they actually take the spacecraft and they program it so that it uses the gravitational pull of the planets as it goes to kind of whip itself through.
The slingshot.
Yes. Until it finally gets there.
And with that, we will launch over to our last holiday of the day, which is Kitchen Klutzes of America Day. Now, I am decent in the kitchen. I would say verging on good. However, that is not how I started. I remember the first thing that I ever baked was back when I was, I want to say 12. Maybe a little bit younger. There was a TV show called Zoom. They would always put little recipes on there. And I decided that I was going to go into the kitchen and try to cook this thing. Or actually bake it. It was this gigantic chocolate cookie. And they sprinkle confection sugar on top. I successfully got through baking the cookie and went to sprinkle the confectioner sugar on top. And after I took a bite of it, I found out that I had used lemon confectioner sugar instead of plain. So, if anybody doesn't know, chocolate and lemon do not necessarily blend well together. However, that was the very, very first thing that I ever baked, cooked, anything, whatever you want to call it. And it turned out to not be that, it didn't turn out great. But shortly after that, I remember I made a batch of cinnamon rolls from scratch. And I took some back to my dad, and he was like, "Oh, these are good." And my mom was like, "No, he made those." He was like, "Yeah, these are great." She was like, "No, he made these, from scratch." And he was like, "No, really?" Ever since then, got a little baker in me.
And his name's not Pillsbury.
No.
I, on the other hand, have got a baker's hat. But it's only this big! Come on! It's only got 7 folds. What does that tell you?
All of that being said, if you're not the best in the kitchen right now, and if you do feel like you're kind of fumbling around with everything and you don't know where you're going or how you're going to do it, you'll get better. I mean, honestly, there's so many resources online right now that you can go look up a recipe and you can see how many people absolutely hated it. And at the same time, you can see how many people loved it.
I will say that the biggest thing that has helped me is not only looking at recipes and finding out which ones are the highest rated or anything like that, because some recipes might not have that many reviews and they end up being delicious. But the thing that makes the biggest difference is looking in the comments.
Yes.
To see if there is anything that the original recipe doesn't mention that you need to take into account, because that can make or break it.
I definitely second exactly what you're saying.
So, on this day,
today of all days,
go out, try something new, as always, that might as well be our motto, and give yourself a little bit of credit as a kitchen klutz for everything that you have done nice, and all the times you persevered even though you might have messed something up the first time around. You will get better. And if you have a sewing machine, or if you're thinking about getting one, hey, get a starter or find a used one, because sewing can come in handy in so many different ways.
And with that, we hope that you all shoot for the stars, and we will see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.